You know what time it is. When I was a young lad, I had major emotional problems, right? I lived in a house where it was very difficult to express my emotions in a safe environment. I live in a place where I would think if I expressed my feelings, at least at times when I was a child, they'd either be thrown on my face at one point or not taken very seriously, which was true. Okay, which was very true. And something I used to do as a kid was when I had a very strong emotion and I knew I wouldn't really amount to anything in my family life. So what I do is that I just keep it in my system. I push it down. And sometimes, whether I knew it or not, it would just come out in different ways. I might act rebelliously. I might try to do what I want to do because I couldn't express the things that I wanted to express. And it just was a good situation to be in, doesn't really matter. But one day I forget what exactly was the situation, but I was extremely annoyed with one of my parents, and I lashed out at them. Nothing crazy, nothing physical, but like just a lot of just yelling, like yeah, so stupid. But just the kind of being loud and disrespectful, right? Why I went home and I got in trouble with my dad. Okay, I got a whole lecture, but something that my dad said to me is that you have to figure out a way to figure out why you feel a certain type of way and then measure whether or not it's a good feeling or even if it's worth it practically. Like I got to get my emotions under control, essentially, right? Then I got my butt whooped. Deserved it, but still. Now whether or not that was his intention, I took it for what it was, right? And I've been using this strategy on a regular basis to break down what I've been feeling and what led me to basically analyzing what led me to feeling X way and how I should react to it on an intellectual basis while also not stopping my feelings from just flowing out or stuffing them down. The strategy that my dad gave me was just asking why. Now, you see the title of the video, The 7 Whys. This could be 5 whys, 4 whys, 3 whys. The point is, you keep asking why until you get to the root of the issue. For example, recently I've been talking a lot about envy. I call it jealousy, but it's really envy. But we're going to stick to jealousy just for intellectual consistency or video consistency. Okay. When I was feeling more jealous, like not in a strong, continuous way, but more like sudden bursts of jealousy would arise in me in various situations. I I'd never really experienced jealousy up until maybe about a year or two ago. And I know that's very difficult to believe, but I just haven't experienced such a strong level of jealousy in my entire life. And I didn't know what I was feeling. I didn't know how I was even getting there in the first place. And so I asked myself, why am I getting jealous all the time or during those times? I brought it up with my youth group. I brought it up with, well, mainly my youth group. Mainly my youth group. That's where I went to. And I talked about it a little bit. But this is what I came down to. This is the first why. Why am I jealous all the time or at certain times? Doesn't really matter. Now, I couldn't really understand why I was jealous all the time. So instead of trying to answer that question directly, I went to what situations made me feel jealousy. And after a lot of self reflections, I found out the situations were when people my age were more successful, when people my age had the body I wanted, when people my age, I'm gonna say it again, has more success than I do, when people my age demonstrated more drive than I did and were reaping the benefits of it. Situations where guys were getting all the girls that I didn't have. Those were the situations where envy would flare up inside of me. Then I looked at all those situations, what they had in common, and the answer I came up with was those are all the things that I don't have, or those are all the things that I want, right? I don't have the success. I don't have the money. I don't have the body. I don't have the girls. And those were things that I valued. Still today, to a degree, I do value those things. But I, I have a different understanding of the value of those things and why I value those things. Now, after this, I didn't get depressed over this realization because when it comes to my jealousy at that time, I also got angry over the fact that I didn't have those things rather than getting depressed over it. I noticed that when I'm thinking about not having success, women, money, whatever that is, I don't focus on what other people have. I'm more focused on the fact that I don't have it right now and they have it. That's why I'm jealous. I focus on the people that do those things in action, but not like what they have necessarily. Anyway, sounds like a contradiction. Um, so I started to have new to me thoughts. New to me. New to me thoughts. Thoughts that about these people just got lucky. And this is just during my self-reflection. This is the first why. And I thought about, some new to me thoughts that I had recently was that, not recently, but during that time, that these people just got lucky. How they had everything handed to them. How if I just had the same level of genetics. Like those thoughts crossed my mind. The difference is that I didn't dwell on those thoughts. I didn't use those as an excuse, right? But over those couple years, over that 2-year period, when I started focusing on my self-improvement journey and not getting the results I wanted, that's where I realized that shift. That's when I could answer the first question, the first why. Why am I getting jealous all the time? The answer was because I don't have the success that I want. Two different things. There's a big difference between those are all the things I don't have. I'm upset because I don't have the success that I want. Two different mindsets. Similar, not the same. I'm going to let you guys analyze that because I don't want this video to go on too long. My second why was, why am I not having the success I want? Obviously, I wasn't putting in the work, okay? My life at that point, I just consisted of me going to work, coming home, playing video games, going to school with the prerequisites, and all that other stuff while also not pursuing my passions and dreams. I was wasting my time. When I started self-reflecting about the second why, I realized that I wasn't using my time in a way that will help me get to the success I really wanted, which led to my jealousy, which led to my envy, which led to me desiring things that I haven't worked for. Now that I answered my second why, from there, I asked my third why. Why wasn't I using my time to go where I needed to go to be successful? And the reason was very simple. It was painful. I liked laying in my bed, lazing around, doing nothing. Okay. I hated the inconvenience of having to get up, cook, consistent amount of food, hit that calorie and macro limit that I needed in order to grow. I wanted to do the bare minimum amount of work to get the growth that I needed. And even in my workouts, I wasn't really going to failure. When I started, when I first started, I was just like, I'm gonna work out, I'm gonna get the discipline in, but I don't want to hurt myself, right? I still have the same mindset, but it's shifted a little bit. I might make another video on that. But my desire for success in those areas never went away. Even I didn't like studying because my brain hurt. I didn't like feeling all fuzzy in here. I didn't like the inconvenience of social events because I don't want to have to drive all the way out there to talk to all these people, build friendships. It was too painful, too inconvenient for me to go, but my desire for success in those areas never went away. They never went away. I still wanted those things. In essence, I didn't want to sacrifice my time or my comfort for the relationships and the life that I wanted at that time. Now, I've heard this quote, you heard me say in the last video, but either increase your sacrifice or reduce your desire. Another one I heard was the price of a village is inconvenience. right? Now, with that realization, now the explanation of the third why basically answers the fourth why. Why was it painful? Simply, I don't want to sacrifice my time and comfort in what I want. Why? Because I want everything handed to me. Really. That's really what it was. I just didn't want to have to put in any amount of effort to get the things that I wanted in practice, right? Why did I want to do that? Because I wanted to see the results without effort, which is just basically saying the same thing. And after that sixth why, I couldn't really think of any more questions. I couldn't really think of any more answers to any questions after that. Because basically I just circled around it. But I could think, but because of that, I could think of solutions to my problems, which all comes down to this. I'm not putting in the amount of effort and work that I need, that I should be doing in order to grow, in order to be intentional with my growth. From there, I learned that slow growth sucks because you don't have the results that you want. But it's also more rewarding because you get to build it yourself. You get to build it yourself. And essentially, the whole strategy of the seven whys is to keep asking why until you get to the point where you can't answer it anymore. And then from there, figuring out the solutions to those problems and acting on it and practicing it and doing what you need to do to get over that issue. This is especially for the men. We're problem solvers. We're not supposed to be whining and complaining when we have success, goals, dreams. It's not going to be handed to us like that. Anyway, this is what keeps me cool-headed whenever my anger flares, whenever sadness comes about me, whenever depression comes. It's not to sit here and say, or whenever I get depressed, I don't have depression, but, and that's not to sit here and say I don't get caught up in my feelings. I get those 10 p.m. thoughts. I get those 3 a.m. thoughts. I get those, I need to lock in today or else I'm screwed and my family is all messed up. Da, da, da. I get those thoughts to this day. The difference is that instead of it lasting 5 hours, it lasts 2. If that. If that. It helps me not to dive deep into the insecurities and just swim in it. It allows me to fuel and keep going when times are tough because this is the life that I want. I'm working for the life that I want. So I have to live in a way that generates results, even if they don't come immediately. Now, from that solution, from that conclusion, I came to this. I need to intentionally grow and not intentionally grow, not just grow, intentionally grow because I needed direction. So I try to look up books, strategies. I talk to people who I trusted about how they build friendships, how they live lives that I want in some aspect. If I had a gym bro, I ask him what he did. If I got a guy who was into music, I asked him what he used. All that stuff. And then I integrated it into my own life. Maybe not everything, but I still made an effort. Anyway, getting long-winded here, but if you're feeling something unfamiliar, something that doesn't feel right, just ask why 7 times. Or keep asking why until you can't answer the question anymore. Usually, you'll notice a pattern when you can't think of any more answers, and it becomes more circular, but look that up because I don't really feel like explaining that to you. Anyway, don't let your emotions control you. Figure out why you're feeling them. Execute a plan to get over them if that's what's necessary. Therapy, if that's your thing. Coaching, if that's your thing. Self-development, if that's your thing. All those things are good. Get the help you need. That's all I'm going to say. Thanks for your time. Adios.